The warning arrived on a cold Tuesday morning. Captain Jack Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the UES Guardian, watching the deep space monitor when the message appeared. The screen filled with strange symbols that slowly transformed into English words. "Attention, species known as humans," the message read. "The Zephyrian Empire demands your immediate surrender. You have 30 days to abandon all colonies beyond your home world. Any resistance will be met with total destruction." Morrison's heart sank. He had heard rumors about the Zephyrians, but this was the first direct contact. The Empire controlled over 200 star systems and had crushed dozens of other civilizations. Earth's intelligence officers had warned that this day might come. "Sir, we're receiving reports from Earth Defense Command," Lieutenant Amy Baker said from her navigation station. "All colonial outposts have received the same message." Morrison nodded grimly. "Get me General Williams on the secure channel." The connection took a few moments. When Kate Williams appeared on the screen, her usually calm face showed deep concern. "Captain Morrison, you've seen the ultimatum?" "Yes, General." "What's our response?" Williams paused. "That's why I'm calling you directly, Jack. We have a problem. The Zephyrians expect us to send our entire fleet to negotiate, but we only have the Guardian operational," Morrison finished. The truth was embarrassing. Earth's other warships were either under construction or undergoing repairs. The Guardian was humanity's only fully functional battlecruiser. Exactly. The other ships won't be ready for months, maybe years. If the Zephyrians discover we have only one ship, they might attack immediately. Morrison stood up, pacing the small space behind his chair. "So what do you need from us, General?" "I need you to go meet them. Alone. Make them think the Guardian is just our first ship with more following. That's suicide, Kate." "Maybe. But it's our only chance. Buy us time while we prepare our defenses." Williams leaned forward. "Jack, you have the best crew in the fleet. If anyone can pull this off, it's you." Morrison looked around his bridge. Amy Baker at navigation, trusted friend for 5 years. Dr. Peter Collins at the science station, working on experimental weapons. Ryan Taylor, his engineer, could fix anything with spare parts and determination. Lisa Chang, communications officer, spoke 7 languages and could crack most codes. "My crew deserves to know what we're walking into," Morrison said. "Tell them. But Jack, they're not just betting their lives on you. They're betting humanity's future." The connection ended. Morrison turned to his crew. "Attention, everyone. We need to talk." Within minutes, the senior staff gathered on the bridge. Morrison explained the situation plainly. No lies, no false hope. Just the truth. The Zephyrian Empire wants Earth's surrender. They think we're sending a fleet to negotiate. We're going to let them keep thinking that. Dr. Collins pushed his glasses up. "Captain, my weapon modifications aren't complete. We're not ready for combat." "We're not going to fight, Peter. We're going to survive. Use our brains instead of our guns." Amy Baker spoke up. "Sir, the journey to Zephyrian space will take 3 weeks. That's a lot of time to think about what we're doing." Morrison smiled. Grimly. "Good time to get to know each other better. Any questions?" Ryan Taylor raised his hand. "Captain, what if they attack us on sight? Then we run. The Guardian is fast." "We should be able to escape." Morrison paused. "But if they don't attack, we might learn something useful." Lisa Chang nodded. "I've been monitoring their communications. The Zephyrians use quantum channels, but I think I can tap into their basics." "Systems. Excellent work, Lisa." Morrison looked at each face. Young and old, experienced and fresh, all volunteers. All his responsibility now. "Here's the truth. This mission may be impossible. You all have families, lives waiting back home. Anyone who wants off, speak now. No shame in it." The bridge fell, silent. Then Amy Baker spoke for everyone. "Captain, where you go, we go. That's what a crew does." Morrison felt something tight in his chest loosen. Pride, maybe. Or just relief that he wouldn't face this alone. "Then let's get moving. Amy, set course for Zephyrian space. Ryan, I want every system checked and double-checked. Peter, focus on defensive modifications. Lisa, start learning everything you can about their language and protocols. As his crew scattered to their tasks, Morrison stared at the star map. Earth looked so small, so far away. The Zephyrian Empire sprawled across the galaxy like a disease. One human ship against an empire. It sounded like a bad joke, but humans had always been good at impossible things. They had reached the stars when everyone said it couldn't be done. They had survived wars and plagues and disasters. They adapted. They learned. They survived. The Guardian's engines hummed to life as they turned toward the unknown. Morrison sat back in his command chair and thought about his brother Alex, lost 5 years ago on a colonial mission. About his sister Sarah, raising her kids on Mars. About billions of humans who didn't even know their fate rested on one ship. Captain, Dr. Collins appeared at his side. The quantum drive is ready. We'll reach maximum speed in 60 minutes. Thank you, Peter. Get some rest when you can. We're going to need everyone sharp. As Collins left, Morrison looked at the tactical display. The Guardian showed as a tiny green dot, surrounded by vast darkness. Somewhere out there, the Zephyrian Empire waited with weapons that could glass entire planets. But the Guardian carried something more dangerous than weapons. It carried humans with an idea. And sometimes, as history had shown, one idea could topple empires. Morrison keyed the ship-wide announcement. This is the captain. We launch in 1 hour. Get your affairs in order, check your gear, and prepare for the unknown. We're about to show the galaxy what one human ship can do. The Guardian's engines roared to life, pushing them toward a destiny none of them could imagine. Behind them, Earth grew smaller with each passing moment. Ahead, the vast expanse of space held secrets, dangers, and perhaps, against all odds, hope. Morrison leaned back in his chair. 30 days to save humanity. One ship against an empire. He'd faced worse odds before, though he couldn't remember when. The adventure was just beginning. The Guardian cut through space like a silver arrow. 3 days into their journey, the crew had settled into an uneasy routine. In the quiet moments between shifts, they all thought about the same thing. They were flying alone into death. Jack. Morrison floated in the observation deck looking at the stars. His brother Alex used to say that space made problems seem small. Jack didn't feel small now. He felt invisible. Couldn't sleep again, Captain? Amy Baker's voice came from behind him. How did you know it was me? She smiled. Only person on the ship who comes here at 0300 hours. Amy joined him at the window. Want to talk about it? Morrison shrugged. What's to talk about? We're flying one ship into Zephyrian space. They probably have more weapons on one station than our entire human race combined. True. But we're not going there to fight. No. We're going there to bluff our way through 30 days. Morrison turned to face her. Amy, you've known me 5 years. In all that time, have you ever seen me do anything this crazy? She thought for a moment. There was that time on Titan Station when you negotiated with those pirates. You had no weapons, no backup, just words. That was different. I knew those pirates, understood how they thought. Morrison rubbed his temples. The Zephyrians, we know nothing about them. We're learning. Amy pulled out a tablet. Lisa's been working overtime. Want to see what she found? They moved to a nearby table. Amy showed him recordings of Zephyrian broadcasts, strange music, harsh voices speaking in patterns that sounded like mathematical equations. The language is complex, but Lisa thinks she's found patterns. They use numbers for everything. Status, rank, even emotions have numerical values. Morrison studied the data. So they think in terms of calculations? Exactly, which might explain why they expected us to send multiple ships. To them, one ship equals one unit of response. They can't understand why we'd send a single unit for negotiation. But we're not just one unit. Morrison smiled slowly. We're human. We don't calculate like they do. Precisely. And there's more. Amy swiped to another screen. Dr. Collins has been analyzing their patrol routes. Every Zephyrian ship follows the exact same pattern. No variation, no creativity. Interesting, where is Peter anyway? In his lab, of course. He's been there for 18 hours straight. Ryan's worried he'll collapse. Morrison made a decision. Let's go check on him. They found Dr. Collins surrounded by holographic displays, mumbling numbers to himself. His usually neat hair stuck out at odd angles and his clothes looked slept in. Peter, Morrison said gently. When did you last eat? Food is secondary, Captain. Look at this. Collins gestured wildly at his display. The Guardian's reactor isn't just a power source, it's a quantum processing unit. It's been learning, evolving while we travel. Amy frowned. Learning what? Everything. It's been analyzing every signal we intercept, every pattern in space. It's building a model of Zephyrian technology. Collins's eyes gleamed. Captain, our ship is getting smarter. Morrison felt a chill. Is that safe? Safe? Probably not. Useful? Definitely. Collins pulled up another display. The AI has already found weaknesses in their communication protocols. Give me 2 more weeks and we might be able to access their entire network. Peter, you need rest. That's an order. But Captain, no buts. Amy will take over for 4 hours. You're going to eat, sleep, and then come back fresh. Collins grumbled but accepted. As he left, Ryan Taylor appeared at the door. Captain, we've got a problem, Ryan said. Morrison's stomach tightened. Problems in space usually meant death. What kind of problem? The good kind, actually. The AI just detected something. Ryan led them to the main engineering deck. We're picking up a signal. It's not Zephyrian. Lisa Chang was already at her station, headphones on, concentrating. She looked up as they approached. Captain, you need to hear this. Morrison put on headphones. Through the static came a voice, speaking in accented English. Unknown human vessel. This is the Wanderer. Do not respond on standard channels. 3. Zephyrians monitor everything. Morrison looked at his crew. This was unexpected. Can we reply safely? Lisa nodded. I can create a narrow beam. They'll never detect it. Do it. Lisa worked quickly. Soon Morrison had a secure connection. This is Captain Morrison of the Guardian. Who are you? Someone who wants to help, the voice responded. The Zephyrians expect a human fleet. Keep them thinking that. We'll contact you when you reach the neutral zone. The connection went dead. The bridge fell silent. Ryan was the first to speak. Well, that was interesting. It was a trap, Amy said immediately. Or an opportunity, Lisa countered. Morrison considered both views. Either way, it changes nothing. We continue as planned. But, he paused, making a decision. Lisa, I want you to create a complete backup of all our systems. Everything Peter's discovered, all our plans, everything. Yes, sir. May I ask why? Because if this is a trap, and we don't make it back, Earth needs to know what we learned. The next week passed quickly. Each day brought new discoveries. Lisa cracked more of the Zephyrian language. Peter's modifications improved the Guardian's defenses. Ryan kept everything running smoothly. Morrison spent his time studying his crew. Amy's tactical mind found patterns no one else saw. Peter's genius hid behind nervous habits and scattered thinking. Ryan's calm presence kept everyone grounded. Lisa's curiosity pushed boundaries everyone else accepted. They were more than just a crew now. They were becoming something else. Something the Zephyrians wouldn't expect. On day 14, they reached the border of Zephyrian space. Morrison called everyone to the bridge. We cross in 6 hours, he announced. Once we do, everything changes. They'll detect us immediately. I've prepared our communications, Lisa reported. Standard diplomatic protocols, just like Earth taught us. Weapons are offline but ready, Ryan added. If we need them, I can bring them up in 30 seconds. The AI is prepared to hack their systems on your command, Peter said quietly. Amy stood beside Morrison's chair. Navigation is ready, Captain. We'll follow your lead. Morrison looked at each of them, scared but determined, young but capable, human. Remember, he said softly. We're not just representing Earth. We're representing every human who ever looked at the stars and wondered what was out there. He paused. And we're about to show the Zephyrians what they never expected to find. The Guardians' engines hummed louder as they approached the border. On the screens, space looked the same, but everyone knew crossing this line meant entering enemy territory. Captain, Lisa said, we're getting multiple scans. They know we're here. Expected. Hold course. Sir, Ryan added, their weapons are charging. Standard procedure probably. Probably. Morrison agreed. His hands stayed steady on the armrests. As they crossed into Zephyrian space, Morrison saw his brother's face in his memory. Alex had always said that courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was doing what needed to be done despite the fear. This is Commander Amy Baker to all stations, Amy announced formally. We have entered hostile territory. All hands, prepare for first contact. Morrison smiled. Amy had used his command voice, taking some of the burden from him. Good leadership. Open. Hailing frequencies, Lisa. Let's introduce ourselves. The Guardian flew deeper into Zephyrian space. Behind them, Earth was just a memory. Ahead waited an empire that had crushed worlds. But the Guardian carried more than weapons and technology. It carried human will, human creativity, and human stubbornness. The Zephyrians expected an army. They were about to meet something far more dangerous than an army. They were about to meet humans who refused to surrender. The comm systems crackled to life. The moment of truth had arrived. The Zephyrian capital system appeared on their screens like a nightmare made real. Massive warships circled the central planet, each one larger than Earth's entire space station. Defense platforms bristled with weapons that could destroy a moon. Mother of God, Ryan whispered from his engineering station. Morrison kept his voice steady. Stay calm, we expected this. Captain, Lisa announced, we're getting a transmission. Multiple sources. They're angry. Put it through. The bridge filled with harsh mathematical voices. Numbers and symbols flashed across every screen. Translation coming through, Lisa worked frantically. They're saying, single unit detected. Calculation error. Where are remaining units? Explain immediately or face termination. Morrison took a deep breath. Lisa, respond in their numerical format. Tell them we are the first unit. Additional units follow standard spacing protocol. As Lisa transmitted, Amy watched the tactical display. Captain, 12 ships are moving to surround us. They're taking attack positions. Expected. Hold course for the central planet. Peter, are our passive sensors recording everything? Doctor. Collins nodded, his fingers flying over his console. Every ship type, every weapon signature, every communication frequency. The AI is adapting in real time. Suddenly, the transmission changed. A new voice, speaking clearer English. Human vessel, Guardian. This is Admiral Kyle Johnson of the Zephyrian First Fleet. You will prepare to be boarded. Morrison froze. That voice? That name? It couldn't be. Captain? Amy noticed his shock. Do you know this Admiral Johnson? I might. Morrison's mind raced. Johnson. Kyle Johnson. His mother's maiden name. Could it be? Human vessel. The voice continued. You have 30 seconds to lower your shields. Morrison made a decision. Lisa, open a private channel to Admiral Johnson. Narrow beam, maximum encryption. Channel open, sir. Morrison leaned forward. Admiral Johnson, when you were 10, what was your father's favorite baseball team? Silence stretched across the bridge. Then the voice returned, softer now. The Yankees, always the damn Yankees. A pause. Jack? Jack Morrison? Is that really you? Morrison closed his eyes. Alex, dear God, you're alive. Jack, we can't talk now. Except the boarding party, I'll make sure they're friendly. We have much to discuss. The channel closed. Morrison turned to his crew, who stared at him in confusion. Captain, Amy said carefully, you know this Admiral Johnson? Alex Turner. My brother. Morrison sank into his chair. We thought he died 5 years ago in a colonial accident. Your brother works for the Empire? Ryan's voice held disbelief. Apparently, and he just saved our lives. Morrison straightened. Lower shields. Prepare to receive boarders. Everyone remain calm. Whatever happens, follow my lead. The Zephyrian shuttle docked with precision. 3 tall figures in environmental suits entered the Guardian's airlock. Behind them walked a human in a Zephyrian uniform. Alex Turner looked older, harder. Scars marked his face and his eyes held secrets. But when he saw Jack, his expression softened. Brother, Alex said quietly. You always did have terrible timing. Alex, what happened? Where have you been? How are you? Later, Alex glanced at the Zephyrian officers, then back at Jack. Right now, you need to know the Empire is planning something terrible. Not just for Earth, for everyone. Lisa stepped forward. Sir, our translation shows the Zephyrians are waiting for an explanation. Alex nodded. They want to know why Earth sent only one ship. Tell them human military protocol requires single ship verification before fleet deployment. As Lisa translated, Alex moved closer to Jack. The Empire expects resistance. They've been preparing for war with humanity for years. They think you'll send hundreds of ships. We have one ship, Alex, just the Guardian. Alex's eyes widened. One? That's actually perfect. Perfect? How is one ship against an empire perfect? Because they're afraid of Earth. Alex whispered. The Empire fears what they don't understand, and they don't understand human creativity. He glanced around. Your ship, it's different, the energy readings, what have you done? Dr. Collins spoke up. The Guardian's AI has been evolving, learning. It's become something new. Alex's face showed recognition. Sarah Martinez, the Empire's chief strategist. She's been studying human behavior for years. She predicted you'd bring overwhelming force. One ship confuses their entire strategy. One of the Zephyrian officers stepped forward, speaking in rapid mathematical patterns. Lisa translated. They demand immediate surrender of your vessel. Complete technical specifications. Full Earth defense protocols. Morrison stood tall. Tell them we operate under standard diplomatic immunity. Technical information will be shared only through proper channels after negotiation. As Lisa translated, Alex moved beside the Zephyrian officers and spoke to them in their language. The exchange was brief but heated. Finally, Alex turned back. We're going to the Central Command Station. You're invited to present humanity's terms. It's unusual, but they're curious. Curious is good, Amy muttered. Captain, Peter whispered urgently. The AI is detecting massive energy fluctuations throughout the system. Something's wrong. Morrison nodded slightly. We proceed as planned. Amy, you have the ship. If things go wrong, we run fast. Amy. Finished. As ordered, Captain. Morrison selected 5 crew members for the meeting. Lisa for communications, Peter for technical questions, Ryan for engineering assessments, and Amy for tactical oversight. Together with Alex, they took the shuttle to the Central Command Station. The station's interior shocked them. Everything was calculated, precise, mathematical. No art, no decoration, only function. Zephyrians moved in perfect patterns, each action timed to the microsecond. Alex led them through corridors that seemed to shift and change based on some invisible algorithm. Remember, he whispered, the Empire values efficiency above all. Speak in numbers when possible. Emotions are considered weaknesses. They entered a vast chamber. Hundreds of Zephyrians worked at crystalline consoles. At the center, a female figure in elaborate armor studied holographic displays. General Sarah Martinez, Alex announced. Humanity's negotiation team. Martinez turned. Her eyes held intelligence and calculation. When she spoke, her English was perfect. Captain Morrison, your species confuses us. We calculated 73.6% probability of multiple ship deployment. You bring one. Explain this deviation. Morrison stepped forward. General Martinez, humans don't always follow probability. We adapt. We improvise. One ship can accomplish what others need fleets for. Martinez exchanged glances with her officers. Interesting. You claim efficiency through unconventional methods. Demonstrate. Morrison looked at Alex, who nodded slightly. This was the test. Lisa, please show the General our navigation logs, how we reduced travel time by 23% through route modifications. As Lisa worked with their displays, Morrison noticed something. The Zephyrians watched with intense focus but also confusion. They expected rigid protocols. Human adaptability genuinely puzzled them. Ryan, demonstrate our shield harmonics. Show how we integrate multiple systems for greater efficiency. Ryan's presentation drew murmurs from the Zephyrian officers. Their technology was powerful but inflexible. The Guardians' adaptive systems represented something they hadn't considered. Impressive, Martinez admitted, but insufficient. Earth must surrender its colonies or face destruction. This is mathematical certainty. Morrison smiled. General, you're missing a variable in your calculations. Explain. Human factor. We don't surrender, we find other solutions. Martinez studied him for a long moment. Then she gestured to her officers. They brought up holographic displays showing massive fleet movements. Observe, Captain Morrison. We have calculated every possible human response. Every scenario results in your defeat. Mathematics does not lie. But Morrison noticed something in the displays. Patterns. Rigid, predictable patterns. And he saw his chance. General, he said calmly, your calculations are based on the assumption that humans will respond rationally. But what if we don't? Irrational behavior leads to chaos, Martinez replied. Chaos leads to destruction. Or innovation, Morrison countered. General, you've spent years preparing for a conventional war, but we're not conventional. As tension filled the room, Morrison felt the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. One wrong word could start a war. One right word might save billions of lives. The meeting was just beginning, but already the chessboard was set. The Empire had power, but humans had something the Zephyrians couldn't quantify. They had hope. After the tense meeting, Morrison's team returned to the Guardian. As soon as they were alone, Alex pulled Jack aside. We don't have much time, Alex said urgently. The Empire plans to attack in 20 days, regardless of negotiations. What? But they said 30. They lied. Martinez doesn't trust humans. She's convinced you're stalling while preparing your fleet. Morrison rubbed his forehead. Alex, we don't have a fleet. Just the Guardian. I know that now. And it might be our only advantage. Alex pulled out a small device. This blocks Zephyrian listening devices. We can talk freely. The crew gathered, in the common room. Alex began explaining what he'd learned during 5 years with the Empire. The Zephyrians conquered everyone the same way, Alex said. They calculate your strength, then attack with exactly enough force to win. No more, no, less perfect efficiency. But they miscalculated with us, Amy realized. Exactly. They prepared for 100 human ships, not one. Their entire battle plan assumes you're hiding your real strength. Dr. Collins leaned forward. The quantum network we discovered, is that how they coordinate? Alex nodded. Everything connects to their central command. Every ship, every station, every system. If that network fails, the entire Empire loses coordination. Lisa's eyes lit up. I've been studying their protocols. If we could access that network, you'd crash their entire military structure, Alex finished. But it's impossible to hack from outside. What about inside? Ryan asked quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. Inside access, Ryan continued. If someone was already in their systems. Morrison understood immediately. You mean like an admiral who's secretly helping us? Alex hesitated. It's dangerous. If they discover what I'm doing, they'll execute me, and probably destroy Earth, as punishment. We need options, Alex. Tell us what's possible. Over the next 6 hours, they planned. Alex explained the Empire's weaknesses. Morrison's crew shared their discoveries about the Guardian's evolving AI. Together, they began to see a possibility. The key is the quantum communication nodes, Alex explained, drawing diagrams. There are 12 primary hubs. If 6 go offline simultaneously, the entire network destabilizes. How do we reach 6 different locations at the same time? Amy asked. We don't, Morrison said slowly. We make them shut down themselves. Peter looked confused. How? Morrison smiled. We feed them false information, make them think they're compromised. Lisa jumped in excitedly. The AI can generate fake signatures. If we broadcast the right patterns, their security protocols will activate automatically. Beautiful, Ryan added. They'll shut down their own systems to prevent infiltration. Alex looked impressed. It could work, but the timing must be perfect, and we need access to their communication arrays. I can get that access, Alex said quietly. But once I start, there's no going back. Morrison studied his brother. Alex, you've been planning something like this, haven't you? For 3 years, Alex admitted. Ever since I learned about their plans for Earth, I couldn't let them. He paused. I've seen what the Empire does to civilizations that resist. Entire worlds burn to ash. You've been gathering intelligence, Amy realized. Feeding them false data about Earth's capabilities. Someone had to. The other species the Empire conquered didn't understand them. Didn't know how to think like them. Alex smiled sadly. But I know both sides, human and Zephyrian. Morrison made his decision. We do it, but with modifications. He turned to his crew. Peter, I need you to create a virus, something that spreads through their quantum network but doesn't destroy it, just disrupts it. A digital confusion agent, Peter understood. Make them question their own data. Lisa, you're going to be our inside woman. Work with Alex to plant the virus. And if they trace it back to us? Ryan asked. They won't, Morrison said firmly. Because by the time they figure it out, we'll have accomplished something else. Dr. Julia Davis, their medical officer, spoke up for the first time. Captain, I've been analyzing the biological data from the boarding party. The Zephyrians have a weakness. Everyone turned to look at her. Their environmental suits use a standard filtration system. If we could introduce a harmless but irritating airborne compound. You want to gas them? Ryan asked. Not gas, just irritate them. Force them to evacuate key positions during critical moments. Ben Adams, their tactical specialist, added, combined with the network disruption, it would create chaos in their command structure. Morrison nodded approvingly. Start working on it, Julia. Ben, coordinate with Amy on targeting priorities. Over the next few days, they implemented their plan. Alex shuttled back and forth between ships, playing his role perfectly. Meanwhile, the Guardian's crew worked tirelessly. Peter created his virus, a masterpiece of subtle programming. Lisa learned to mimic Zephyrian communication patterns perfectly. Ryan prepared ship modifications that would let them escape quickly. Julia developed her compound, testing it repeatedly to ensure it was harmless but annoying. On day 6, Alex brought news. Martinez is getting suspicious. She's noticed inefficiencies in the fleet coordination. Because your virus is already working, Peter said excitedly. The test versions were successful. Too successful, Alex worried. She's ordering full system checks. Morrison thought quickly. Good. Let her find something. But not the real virus. A decoy. Amy understood. Make her think she found the threat. They spent the next day creating a fake infiltration program, obvious enough to be discovered, but complex enough to seem real. Alex planted it where Martinez's security would find. 24 hours later, Alex returned with a grim smile. She found it, spent 6 hours having her tech specialist decode it. They're convinced it was a probe testing their defenses. Perfect, Morrison said. Now she's looking in the wrong direction. There's more, Alex continued. She's decided to accelerate the timeline. Attack in 14 days instead of 20. The room fell silent. That gives us 8 days to prepare, Ryan calculated. 8 days to start a revolution, Morrison corrected. Alex, what about the other species under Empire control? Waiting for any sign of weakness. The Empire controls 12 species. Some, conquered a century ago. They all hate the Zephyrians but fear them more. Lisa had an idea. What if fear wasn't an option anymore? Explain, Morrison prompted. If the Empire's command structure fails even temporarily, their control over those species becomes voluntary. Lisa smiled. And no one volunteers to be a slave. Morrison felt pieces clicking into place. So we're not just defending Earth. We're liberating the galaxy. One well-placed disruption, Alex agreed. But the Zephyrians will fight harder when they're desperate. Let them, Morrison said softly. We're not looking for a fight. We're looking for a solution. Ben Adams spread tactical maps across the table. Captain, if we can coordinate with the resistance movements Alex knows about, it becomes a multi-front uprising, Amy finished. While we handle the technical disruption, others create physical chaos. Morrison looked around the room. His crew, his brother, all focused on the same impossible goal. Defeating an empire with tricks and timing. Everyone knows their assignments, Morrison said. Next week we either save humanity or die trying. He paused. I need to know. Are you all certain about this? Last chance to back out. No one moved. No one spoke. But the silence was answer enough. Then let's get to work, Morrison said. We've got an empire to topple. As they dispersed, Alex caught Morrison's arm. Jack, if this goes wrong, it won't, Morrison said firmly. But if it does, Earth needs to know what happened here. What we tried to do. Morrison nodded slowly. Record. Everything, Alex, everything. Already am, Alex smiled. Someone has to tell the story. Outside the Guardian's windows, the Zephyrian fleet maintained its perfect formations. Ships moved in precise patterns, weapons charged according to mathematical schedules, communications flowed through quantum channels like clockwork. Inside the Guardian, humans planned disorder. 7 days to turn perfection into chaos. 7 days to bet everything on the oldest human trait, the ability to change the rules of the game. The countdown had begun. The day arrived faster than anyone expected. Morrison stood on the bridge watching the tactical display. Everything was ready. Everything had to work perfectly. Captain, Lisa announced. Alex is in position at the primary communication hub. Peter? Dr. Collins looked up from his console. Virus is loaded and ready to deploy. The AI has refined it beyond what we originally planned. How so? It learns from their responses. Every time they try to counter it, it adapts. Like a living thing. Morrison nodded. Ryan, ship status? All systems green. Emergency jump coordinates locked. We can be out of here in 30 seconds if needed. Amy Baker stood beside Morrison's command chair. Over the past weeks, she'd become his unofficial second. Captain, are we really doing this? We're really doing this. Morrison keyed his communicator. Alex, you copy? Copy, Jack. Martinez just entered her command center. She's reviewing fleet positions. Perfect. Phase 1 begins now. Morrison turned to his crew. Remember, timing is everything. Lisa, begin broadcasting those interference patterns. Broadcasting now, sir. Across the Zephyrian fleet, communication systems began receiving confusing signals. Nothing dangerous, just enough to make them question their instruments. Sir, Lisa reported. They're running diagnostics. Exactly as predicted. Ben, release Dr. Davis's compound into their ventilation systems. Ben Adams activated the system they'd secretly installed during diplomatic visits. Throughout key Zephyrian installations, a harmless but irritating mist began circulating. Within minutes, Alex's voice crackled over the secure channel. Jack, it's working. Martinez is coughing. Half the command staff is evacuating to decontamination. Now, Peter, launch the virus. Peter's fingers flew across his console. Virus deployed. It's spreading through their quantum network. For 5 tense minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then chaos erupted. "Captain," Lisa shouted, "I'm reading massive system failures across the fleet. Ships are losing coordination." On the tactical display, the perfect Zephyrian formations began to unravel. Ships moved erratically, some accelerating randomly, others powering down defensive systems. "Alex, report. Total confusion here. Martinez is shouting about system failures. They think they're under attack by a massive human invasion force." Morrison smiled grimly. Phase 2. "Amy, broadcasting that message we prepared?" Amy nodded, activating the communication system. Morrison's voice, translated into 12 different languages, boomed across every Zephyrian frequency. "Attention, all species under Empire control. The Zephyrian command network has been compromised. This is your moment. You are free to act." The response was immediate and overwhelming. "Captain," Lisa's eyes widened. "I'm receiving signals from everywhere. The rebellion has started." Across the galaxy, oppressed worlds responded. Ships that had served the Empire for decades turned their weapons on Zephyrian vessels. Orbital platforms switched control from Imperial forces to local populations. 50 years of suppressed rage exploded simultaneously. "Alex, what's happening? At command?" "Martinez is trying to regain control, but the virus is faster. Every time they attempt to override, it spreads deeper. Their own security protocols are working against them." Morrison watched the tactical display transform from organized Imperial control to beautiful chaos. The Empire's precision had become its downfall. "Sir," Ryan reported, "energy readings from the primary fleet are spiking. They're preparing for full assault." "Let them come," Morrison said calmly. "Ben, target their flagship with our surprise." Ben activated the Guardian's modified weapons system. Instead of destructive fire, they launched a barrage of communication drones, each broadcasting surrender offers in Zephyrian mathematical language. The effect was immediate confusion. Empire ships, already dealing with system failures, received what appeared to be surrender demands from their own fleet. "They're firing on each other," Amy exclaimed. "Some ships think others have defected." "Phase 3, Morrison announced. "Lisa, open a channel to General Martinez. Make it so everyone can hear." "Channel open, Captain." Morrison straightened in his chair. "General Martinez, this is Captain Morrison. Your empire is falling. Not through destruction, but through liberation. Stand down your forces, and no one needs to die." The response came immediately, but not from Martinez. Alex's voice, speaking in perfect Zephyrian military protocol, boomed across all channels. "All Imperial forces, this is Admiral Kyle Johnson. By authority of the High Command, implement Protocol 777. Immediate ceasefire and system shutdown for emergency reprogramming." Protocol 777 was the Empire's built-in safety measure designed for critical system failures. Across the fleet, ships began powering down weapons and entering standby mode. "Alex, what have you done?" Morrison asked privately. "Something I should have done years ago, brother. I invoked the Peace Protocol. It gives everyone a chance to choose." On the tactical display, the immense Zephyrian fleet was now a collection of disabled ships. The rebellion had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. "Captain," Lisa reported softly, "we're getting a personal transmission from General Martinez." "Put her through." Martinez appeared on screen, her perfect composure gone. "Captain Morrison, you have exceeded all calculations. How did you do this?" Morrison leaned forward. "By not thinking like you, General. You calculated for military strength. We delivered flexibility. You prepared for fleets. We sent imagination. The Empire has stood for 300 years. The Empire has oppressed for 300 years, Morrison corrected. Today that ends, not through conquest but through choice." Martinez studied him for a long moment. "What happens now?" "Now, people choose their own destinies. Rebuild what was broken, create what was forbidden." Morrison softened his tone. "General, you weren't evil. You were just limited by numbers. The transmission ended. Across the system, ships that had been enemies moments ago began tentative communications. Species that hadn't spoken freely in decades started planning their futures. Alex's shuttle docked with the Guardian an hour later. When the brothers embraced on the bridge, the entire crew cheered. "Never thought I'd see you again," Jack said quietly. "Never thought I'd have a family to come back to," Alex replied. "But here we are." Dr. Collins approached them, tablet in hand. "Captain, the virus is now dormant in their systems. If anyone tries to rebuild the Empire, it'll activate and do this all over again. Insurance policy?" "More like a reminder," Peter smiled. "The galaxy doesn't need empires," Ryan called out from his station. "Captain, we're getting a message from Earth. They want to know, well, everything." Morrison laughed, a sound that surprised him. "Tell them we'll be home soon, and we're bringing friends." As the Guardian prepared for the journey home, Morrison looked at the view screen. Ships from a dozen different species flew together, no longer forced into perfect formations. Messengers traveled between worlds, carrying news of freedom. The Zephyrian technology, freed from Imperial control, was being shared with all. "Captain," Amy said, standing beside him, "we did it. One ship against an empire." "No, Amy. One crew against an idea. The idea that strength comes from control." Morrison smiled. "We just proved that real strength comes from creativity, cooperation, and the courage to change the rules." Outside, the stars looked different somehow. Brighter, maybe. Fuller of possibility. The Guardian turned toward Earth, followed by a fleet of liberated ships. But this wasn't a fleet of war anymore. It was something new. A community of equals, heading toward an uncertain but hopeful future. Later, Alex would ask Jack how he'd known the plan would work. "I didn't," Jack would admit. "But I knew something else. Humans don't calculate odds like other species. We don't give up when the math looks bad. We just change the math." The Empire had expected an army. They'd prepared for conventional war, overwhelming numbers, traditional tactics. Instead, they had met something they couldn't calculate, couldn't predict, couldn't defend against. They had met human ingenuity, determination, and the simple refusal to accept impossible odds. One ship had brought down an empire, not through destruction but through the introduction of a new idea. Freedom isn't won through force but through the courage to think differently. And in the vast darkness of space, the Guardian led the way home, carrying not just its crew, but the promise of a galaxy forever changed.